A green light for the COVID-19 vaccine. The preparation for rollout, the distribution challenges to get it to every arm in America. A special report, VacciNation.
This is real. This ain't no hoax. This ain't no politics. This is real.
The face of COVID. We've heard stories like this from across the nation.
Hundreds of thousands of people affected by COVID in some way. That number expected to grow until a vaccine is in full force.
We take a deeper look into the race for the vaccine as challenges, concerns, and fears remain, but hope rises on the horizon.
The U.S. is launching the most complex vaccination program in history, and the stakes are high. Each extra day or delay could cost American lives. So now comes the hardest part, getting the vaccine into enough people's arms. The #1 challenge our country will face has nothing to do with medical advances, science, or logistics, and everything to do with trust.
Ready, let's do this.
It's a virus. It is us against them, but the us is all people, and the them is a virus.
COVID-19 is a novel or new virus that was not previously seen in humans. It's dangerous, sometimes deadly.
The CDC announced confirmation of the second
So from the start of this pandemic, news about it has come at us at a breakneck speed.
We feel like we're doing every step that we can to not let the virus spread.
Reports are shared so quickly, it seems information about COVID-19 is changing by the day. Conflicting, often political messages about masks.
Is there a way we can do something like that?
Even the severity of the virus.
The coronavirus is the common cold.
Left Americans confused, frustrated, and unsure what to believe. Science is trying to cut through political barriers, public mistrust, and fatigue to produce a vaccine and a reason to hope. The country's longest-serving Centers for Disease Control director, Dr. Tom Frieden, headed the CDC during H1N1 and the Ebola epidemic, and says when it comes to COVID-19, the next challenge will be getting Americans to trust the vaccine and medical advice.
The key here is transparency, being clear about what we know, what we don't know, when we know it, and sharing that openly in real time. That's a way to steadily build trust, and we need to build trust.
Gaining that trust will mean leveling with the public in a way that wasn't done when the pandemic started.
So what we know right now is that the vaccine is very effective in the volunteers who got it.
And it seems Americans are more willing than before to get the vaccine. 58% of Americans in a November Gallup poll said they would get a COVID-19 vaccine. That's up 8% from a low of 50% in September. But even though getting enough people to buy in is what it will take to have our lives return to normal and help our economy recover, the 42% who say they would not be vaccinated shows getting enough people to comply won't be easy.
People who people respect, whether it's clergy, social or popular culture figures or others, there are lots of ways to reach into communities, and it has to be two-way communication.
Another obstacle, fighting complacency. Many people simply believe their personal risk is low, and COVID-19 victims may actually convince them otherwise.
I called 911 and I told them, I said, I'm about to die. I'm not going to make it through this. I couldn't get any air in, and my heart was outside my chest.
Shane Jackson is young, healthy, and strong. She works for Michigan State, teaching Flint area children and adults about nutrition. She says spending 21 days in the hospital surviving COVID-19 was the biggest fight of her life.
Oh my God, I made it out of here alive. It was the most amazing experience to be rolled out the hospital that day of fighting the fight of my life.
And stories like Shane's are not uncommon. Healthy people whose skepticism about COVID quickly changed when they were fighting for their lives. We were able to get a first-hand account from one man straight from the ICU. Jamie Bostell shared an important message on Facebook Live that was shared across the country. He had no idea who would see it, and he really didn't care.
He just wanted you people to see this is real. This is real. This ain't no hoax. This ain't no politics. This is real.
In a painfully honest video, this 49-year-old factory worker from South Bend shares his raw testimony.
Little things we take for granted, like going to the bathroom. Sorry to get disgusting. Oxygen level dropping to 65 while you're trying to go to the bathroom. You need a cold rag. You're about to pass out and die on the floor.
At times, he struggles to breathe. Other times, he's emotional.
Wear your mask. Don't be stupid. This can get anybody, and I'm living proof. Look at me. Trust me. You guys know me. You know I got strong lungs. When sing the way I do.
That's right, Jamie not only works in a factory.
What's up, everybody?
He's a singer, songwriter, and high-energy performer. But now, his music is on hold while he fights his COVID battle. We connected with Jamie in a Zoom call from his ICU bed. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing a lot better.
Take me back. How do you think you contracted COVID?
I think I got it at work, but there's really no proof because, you know, my wife and I went shopping one day and stuff. We still wore our masks. We wore our masks everywhere. My wife works in medical, so believe me, she's on me about the mask too. And I'm really blown away that I got it because I take care of myself. I'm not a smoker. I barely drink. Yeah, I'm super healthy and it still got me.
So, how sick were you?
When I got here at 101.8 fever, my oxygen was 69. Yeah, that's like close to death.
But man, people need to know the truth. This ain't politics, man. These doctors saved my life. These nurses saved my life. The first
it was to let people know that I personally, catching my breath, I'm sorry. I personally am grateful for all these doctors and nurses here that have brought me back to life. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
I love you all. Peace and rock on.
Jamie spent 22 days in the hospital. Coming up, a Zoom call reunion with some of his heroes, the doctors and nurses who saved his life.
Coming up, tracking the vaccine race as we head into a critical stretch. Who are the front runners and more on their quest for a magic bullet against coronavirus?
Here's a look at the front runners and what puts them ahead of the pack.
Vaccines being developed and manufactured in record time.
We do feel that preliminarily that the success criteria have been met.
3 drug makers are leading the race: Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca. Johnson & Johnson is close behind. The companies got to work back in January. That's when China first published the genetic sequence for the novel coronavirus online. Within a matter of days, scientists had come up with potential vaccines. The U.S. government then stepped in to get things moving quicker.
Pfizer and Moderna are leading the pack because their vaccines rely on brand new and much faster technology. It's called messenger RNA. It's a radical approach compared to traditional vaccines that use the real virus, which then has to be grown and purified. mRNA vaccines are quicker to make because they're basically plug and play. Genetic information is used to instruct cells in the body to make harmless proteins that trigger an immune response.
In this case, you're just giving the genetic code for a portion of the virus. As a result, you're not actually giving any virus, certainly no live virus at all.
This is the first time the Food and Drug Administration has given the green light to an mRNA vaccine for use in people. Pfizer and Moderna's clinical trials launched back in March and April. Results started rolling in around June and July, and by September and October, Phase 3 data showed amazing promise.
I find that scientifically extremely convincing that 2 products using similar technology but totally independently developed, independently tested, provide us with data that are so similar.
Here's what the FDA is saying about Pfizer's 2-dose vaccine. It provides strong protection, about 52% within about 10 days of the first shot. A second shot 3 weeks later boosts protection to 95%. The FDA says clinical trials involving tens of thousands of volunteers showed Pfizer's vaccine worked well regardless of a person's race, weight, or age.
Only rarely did they see any kind of allergic reaction, so this is not a major concern.
Moderna's 2-dose vaccine reporting a 95% efficacy rate. The second shot comes 4 weeks after the first. The 2 COVID-19 mRNA vaccines come after decades of research into the technology. In both drug makers' studies, volunteers reported side effects like
pain at the injection site, muscle aches, headaches, and fever. AstraZeneca's vaccine uses different technology, a harmless cold-causing virus typically found in chimpanzees. It delivers the genetic code for a spike protein, which then triggers the immune system to recognize the real virus. The FDA says it's more than 70% effective and is safe. That's based on a study involving more than 10,000 volunteers and 2 different regimens. One with half a dose of vaccine, then a month later a full dose, which showed 90% protection. The other involved 2 full doses a month apart, offering much lower protection, 62%. Johnson & Johnson's vaccine relies on a technology called AdVac. It was used for the company's Ebola vaccine and in studies for HIV and RSV. The viral vector vaccine uses a disabled common cold virus, which takes part of the genetic code into the body to fight COVID-19. While approval may not come until January, experts say this vaccine can make a huge impact because it only requires 1 dose. Medical experts say you probably won't have a choice as to which vaccine you'll be able to get. As far as children, it's unclear if the vaccines will work. Studies just got underway. Experts say it probably won't be until later next year until they can be vaccinated.
But who gets the vaccine is still riddled with some unknowns. With a limited amount of doses being distributed right now, individual states will make the decisions. The CDC has encouraged states to look at healthcare workers, first responders, and long-term care facilities for top priority. And then essential workers, people with medical conditions, and older adults are next in line. And finally, the ordinary citizen should be able to get the vaccine by April, May, or June of next year.
The bravery of thousands of volunteers signing up to participate in the COVID-19 vaccine's clinical trials. Coming up, a closer look at who they are, why they signed up, and what they experienced.
When we look back at this time, we're going to remember the frontline heroes, the doctors and the nurses who put their health and their lives on the line to save others. There's another group that did something brave, too, out of the limelight without much fanfare, but their contributions may turn out to save millions and help life return to normal. The men and women who rolled up their sleeves to take part in the coronavirus vaccine clinical trials. Lynn Lieber from the Toledo area is one of them.
I wanted to be an active part of trying to make it better.
Lieber, who's been a dietitian for over 35 years, has devoted her life to health care. She didn't hesitate to sign up for the Moderna coronavirus vaccine trial out of Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit.
And then at that very first visit, if you passed the screening, they gave you your first shot.
Then, every 7 days after that, she had to enter information in an e-diary. And once a week, the clinicians called Lynn to make sure she was okay.
The only thing I could say is maybe I had a little bit of a headache. My arm hurt a little bit the second time.
The arm pain lasted about 3 days.
Marla Kaminsky is a stay-at-home mom who'd been living in the Detroit area before recently moving to Tennessee. She signed up for Pfizer's Phase 3 clinical trial over the summer. She's among 38,000 people who got 2 shots in the clinical trial, along with a monthly in-person or phone check, and she also used an app to report any other symptoms. Lynn was among 30,000 people in the Moderna trial. Both Lynn and Marla say their desire to participate in a clinical trial for a COVID-19 vaccine was, in part, for what they call selfish reasons.
To help get the world repaired so we can get back to normal.
2 ordinary citizens taking an extraordinary leap of faith with a faith in science to give the world a powerful weapon in the fight against a deadly virus.
I don't know if I feel like I'm part of history, but I feel like at least I did something to say that I tried to help.
The vaccines are the light at the end of the tunnel we've been waiting for almost a year. And when we look back on all of this, we can thank Lynn and Marla and the thousands of others who took a chance on their own health to save the health and the lives of the rest of us.
How will we know when it's our time to get the vaccine? The CDC says it will put the word out through governors, radio, media, and social media. The vaccines are expected to be available widespread at doctors' offices, urgent care clinics, and pharmacies. Eventually, anywhere you can get the flu shot, you will be able to get the COVID-19 vaccine. The government has made it clear it will be free of charge to the American public. Vaccine providers may be able to charge an administering fee, but that should be covered by insurance or a government relief fund for the uninsured.
Coming up, what was it like on the front lines? Healthcare workers reflect on the year that put their lives in danger and their physical and mental endurance to the test. We'll be right back.
Let's go back to Jamie Bostell and his recovery from COVID. If it weren't for his heroes, the doctors and nurses who saved his life, he could have died.
They're working their butts off.
1 week after that interview, Jamie was home on oxygen, continuing his recovery.
I'm still coughing stuff up a little bit here and there. I've just been resting.
Okay, who's joining us?
That's Curtis.
Yes, it is. Curtis Stump, registered nurse.
Curtis Stump has been a nurse for 35 years. These days, he works directly with the sickest patients fighting COVID-19.
This has been the hardest time ever, emotionally dealing with our patients being so isolated. It's just horrible to watch.
Nurses like Curtis are putting in long, stressful days with no end in sight.
Having an extra patient or two on your patient load is just so wearing.
It's a feeling shared by doctors, too.
Done a lot of hard things in my career, but this tops it.
Let's talk about the demographics of the patient. Jamie is 49 and otherwise good health. You're seeing a younger age of patient coming into your hospital.
We did. We saw a spike in the age range of about 40 to about 65.
How does this guy look to both of you?
You look so much better. I'm so glad to see how much better you look.
Still got a way to go, but much better.
The simplest things that I could do before is so exhausting.
You can't push this. This is a process, okay?
Yeah, I'm learning that.
But you made it a long way. So
I know, and that's what I love about you. You kept me up when I was down, man.
And as for Jamie's Facebook video,
Jamie, I want to thank you for doing what you did. It did reach a lot of people, and it needed to be said.
That video touching the hearts of exhausted nurses and doctors, too.
Your message of thanks and seeing you get better, that's what gives them more energy.
It's got to be tough to tolerate this and not know when it's going to end, for you guys. And I appreciate everything that you did for me.
How's it feel to have a patient thank you like that?
It's worth more than all the gold in the world.
Jamie continues to improve. Now, he still needs oxygen, but he's getting his strength back with the help of physical therapy and a positive attitude.
Will the vaccine be the answer to get us back to normal? Only time will tell, but for now, the main question each of us will need to answer sooner rather than later is, will you take the vaccine when it's available to you? Thank you for joining us for this special report. Be sure to download our app to stay up to date on all of the latest information about the COVID vaccine as it becomes available.